Good evening, and welcome to Boaz Meets Ruth Christian Dating Network. Tonight's topic is From the Heart of Man. I have with me on tonight six great men, six great Black men. And the topic tonight is to discuss the issues of a Black man, how society is designed to keep a Black man back, which we know we cannot do, and also, we're going to talk about how we, as women, those of you that are watching that are women, how we can better support our Black men. And we get to hear it firsthand, how it is to be a Black man in America. And of course, we know that women talk all the time, but this is an opportunity for men to discuss what it is that's on their heart. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you all for watching. My name is Jan Dickerson. I am the host for tonight, and I am going to introduce to you the panel. So we have with us on tonight, our first guest is Mr. Harvey Adams. He is a resident of Atlanta, Georgia, and a graduate of SC State U with a Bachelor's of Science degree in computer science. He is also a broadband engineer and an angel investor. He enjoys playing golf, is an avid traveler, and loves mentoring. So please, let's welcome him to the stage. So Harvey, you want to give him a wave at the audience?
Sure.
All right.
Hello.
How you doing?
Good.
And next we have Norris Henry. He is this panelist was born in Milledgeville, Georgia. His early education was in the Baldwin County school system, where he received his high school diploma. He furthered his education receiving a bachelor's degree from Clark Atlanta University, former Clark College, in 1983. This panel participant also earned his master's degree in technology integration in the educational curriculum from Lesley University in Cambridge. He's our distinguished panelist has previously worked in law enforcement and now has served 25 years as an educator. He entertains his audience as a DJ under his alter ego personality, DJ Blue. He's also a freelance photographer in his leisure time, shooting weddings, reunions, parties, etc. He has two adult children, ages 41 and 24 years of age. Without further delay, Mr. Norris Henry. Norris, give us a wave.
How you doing? Glad to be here.
Thank you. And next we have Kip. Kip is a native of Atlanta, Georgia. He's a CDL holder and he's also a father. He enjoys spending time with his family and friends. Kip, welcome to the stage.
How you guys doing? Welcome.
Next, we have Shannon Lovett. Shannon is a native of Atlanta, Georgia, a father and a husband. He is a licensed associate professional counselor. He has a master's of arts degree in counseling. He is also a professional counselor and the host of You're So Witty podcast on YouTube. Shannon, thank you for coming. And last but certainly not least, we have Mr. Kenneth Walker. He is a highly sought after speaker, author, coach, and educator. Mr. Walker has delivered his message of inspiration in connection with strategic civic action to organizations across the nation. Mr. Walker graduated summa cum laude from Alabama State University and began a phenomenal career in education and currently resides in Atlanta, Georgia. He is a father, a husband, and the CEO of Awaken the Genius. So thank you all for coming out. I appreciate you all coming out. So we are going to get this started. Please share it. Those of you that are watching, I ask that you share it as well. This is very important. I ask that you take notes so that we can better learn how to support our men and really understand them as well. So I mentioned that the topic tonight is about how society is designed to keep the Black man down. But of course, we know that's impossible. But of course, we would just want to hear some of your struggles and also hear your successes as well. So who want to get it started? So are you there some truth in that statement?
I'll get it started.
Okay.
First of all, I'd like to say that thank you for giving me the opportunity to be a part of this forum. It didn't take long for me to jump at the opportunity because I love sharing personal experiences. There's a fine line between telling your business and sharing your struggles so that you might enlighten others so they don't fall into the same pitfalls that you did. So I thank you for giving me that opportunity. I also want to say, first of all, that I want to define clearly that this show is not about excuses for failures. It's about how we overcome those struggles to become successful, and how those people that are in our lives can play a significant role in raising us up to where we need to be to our potential. So as it relates to some of the struggles I've had job struggles, I've had relationship struggles, I've had marriage struggles, but despite all of those struggles I've had in my life, I think it defined who I am as a person today. I think without those struggles that I might not be as enlightened, I might not be as resourceful when it comes to the struggles that I have and the struggles that I even experience today. Past struggles help me to endure and overcome the struggles at present and the struggles that I'm going to see going forward.
Interesting. Any comments?
No, I agree. I agree with Norris on that. Only because I'm here because it's just life. It's real life, and I think as brothers talk and we get more out there and more information, just like the barbershop, and just being real about things, we're able to see older men and younger men understand we all go through stuff. But to understand it from our perspective is very, very difficult to explain. It's something you almost have to experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, what are some of the things that you all deal with on a daily basis? I know we talk about racism, that's one thing, but what are some other things, even in the workforce, that you deal with on a daily basis?
How much time you got?
Yeah. That's a real loaded question there. I mean, man, and you know what? You have to learn how to, how they say play politics, speak up and when to speak out, and when you need to just kind of stay close to the vest and not say nothing, and there's a time and a place for all that. My father taught me a long time ago that, you have to take a stand on what you believe in, but you got to know how to take a stand. And even today, I deal with things in the workplace, but I feel better about myself if I speak up and speak out as opposed to sit back and do nothing. And there's always somebody that I am comfortable with that I can share with and share my struggles with. I kind of throw it around before I make a decision about what I'm going to do. It doesn't mean that I'm going to listen to what that person says. And when maybe I shouldn't put it like that. It doesn't mean I'm going to take their advice, but I'm going to certainly take it in because it's another perspective. But at the end of the day, I got to feel good about who I am. And if I feel like I need to address some things or deal with some things, that's what I have to do, because I have to live with me at the end of the day. Yeah.
I think, Jan, what are some things we have to deal with? The brother said, well, how long do you have? I mean, as a black man, just waking up, walking out the door every morning, one of the struggles is, will I get pulled over today and be killed? I mean, not for doing anything other than being a black man. So that's just the beginning of the day.
True.
So if I'm not dressed like I'm dressed tonight with like a button down or a cardigan and a top hat, nice fedora, then I know I'm going to be seen differently. And I'm going to take this off in a second and just have a shirt on that talks about what real black being, stand for or whatnot. But one of the things I think most of us probably deal with is that when you are in the professional setting, especially a lot of times a white man who can make the same statement that you make, he's deemed assertive. But if you make that same statement, you're deemed aggressive. So how do we actually say what we need to say, just piggybacking off what my brother just said, without everything we say being taken out of context? So one of the books that I read in the past, it was called Winning Arguments: What Works and Doesn't Work in Politics, the Bedroom, the Courtroom, and the Classroom. So oftentimes, like telling my students that, you know, it is my job as an educator to make the agony of decision making so intense that the only escape is through thinking. So I have to now, as an older gentleman, start thinking about that. Think before you speak, brother. Because a lot of the stuff that you might say in the company of these brothers right here and in the company of a sister like yourself who has created a liberated space where we can feel safe, you know, we just can't go into those offices and courtrooms and so on and so forth and be us as a black man, like the thing said back in the days, and I conclude right here, ain't I a man? You know what I mean? So everybody else in the world, you know, they're American, they're whatever they are, but we, you know, we're still trying to figure out when are we deemed a man. So I think just a struggle of leaving out the house every day and then just knowing how to temper what we say in every situation so we're not seen as the aggressor rather than our counterparts who are seen as assertive.
And see, that's a great point he just made. That's what I was saying, how much time you have, because just what you just said, my brother, just the fact that you got to pump the brakes on everything you get ready to say can be trying on a daily basis. You know, like you said, white man can say it. I get ready to say it. I'm the only black where I work, actually. And I told them one day, I said, look, we as black people, we become bilingual just to survive. You know, just to be able to talk. I said, because the way I'm talking to you, and not that you're being phony, you just know they can't handle what you really going to put down. So you have to make sure when you address something, you address it where they can understand it. You feed it to them in baby unless you get probably angry or something like that, and we don't want to do that, because now you deem what? The angry black man. So it is truly a struggle at times, but you always need to be true to yourself. It is truly a struggle at times, but you always need to be true to yourself.
All right. Anybody else?
It is
Yeah. I a word that maybe even might be even more connected with what we all are saying is, why is it that when we are truly true to who we are and truly being ourselves and truly being the men that we are supposed to be, why is it that we are considered a threat? I'm not trying to take anything from anyone. I'm not trying to demean anyone. I'm not trying to do any of that. But for some reason, if I'm being who I am as a person, which is all that I can be, I'm considered a threat, or I'm considered insubordinate, or and all of the above. And some way, somehow, in the process of talking about all these things, we've got to talk about solutions. Now, some of the solutions are out of our control because we can't help how other people perceive us. We can't help how other people perceive us. But on our end, what is it that we can do? What is it that we can do to, and we might not be able to do anything, but how is it that we can present ourselves and deliver ourselves to where we can be received? And when I say that, I'm not putting the blame on us, but what I'm trying to say is, we've got to figure out how to coexist and how to deliver our message without being perceived as being threatened.
I was on mute. Good point. So let's talk about something else. So as it relates to, of course, you know, I'm all about relationships. As it relates to, you know, relationships, marriage, and so forth, Somebody said, honestly, some are dedicated to misunderstanding you. They are dedicated to that. I think that's a good point. Any thoughts on that?
True.
I totally agree. I totally agree.
I
As a matter of fact, they don't want to understand you.
Now,
They don't
why do
wanna
you think
understand.
that's the case? Now, do you think that Black men are seen as a threat because of their potential?
Yes, I think black men are considered a threat because I feel like it's just a whole play on society. It goes back down, 400 years ago, being in chains and bondage, and what we had to go through as men then, getting taken away from families, getting, some men had to have sex with their mother, So it just goes back to the taking of families and what society has led us to do, even if it's drugs, music, gang violence. The point is that the black father is not at the household, so it's a lot of misunderstanding about it. It's a lot of hurt people, and it's a lot of things that's not in our control. So it goes many different ways, between the women to the kids and even back to us.
Good point.
Hmm. I think that's deep. I mean, it's
I think for me, when we talk about misunderstanding, I think we misunderstand each other more than worrying about who misunderstands us. And I know that's a big thing that we really, really, really need to get across moving forward, is how to understand each other. We're so concerned about what everybody else thinks about us. They tend to let us, they tend to kind of have us in this mental power where we don't understand, and we end up doing whatever they want us to do. I was talking about this earlier today with some friends of mine, and I think the biggest thing here that I think we really need to overcome is this whole mental thing of, we need to put forth the time and the effort to say, let's try to understand each other, instead of saying that, we're being, misunderstood. And I know that's the purpose for this call. But it really is a shame that we've gotten to that point where we can't even trust each other anymore. And I think that's what leads us to misunderstand. And the more we misunderstand and treat each other bad, the better we feel that we're doing what we're being told to do mentally. And that's one of the things I really, really kind of try to work on with, friends of mine, people that I'm mentoring, is we got to get the mindset straight first. And if we can get that straight and we have the willingness to want to understand each other, I think the whole misunderstood thing is going to go out the window. So just wanted to add.
Jan, if I can jump in real quickly, I'm sitting here, I always have books in front of me. We oftentimes talk about the miseducation of the Negro, but this is one of the books that I really recommend to anyone who's reading, and it's called The Education of the Negro, an essential preface to understanding the miseducation of the Negro. So until someone actually try to sit down and listen, one of my goals is in 2020, 2021, as well as in the 2022, is to become a transformational listener. And the only way you're going to understand the black boy, the black man, the black grandfather, the ancestors who came before us, is that you gotta listen. And I think oftentimes everyone gets that listening ear once again, except for the brother. I heard your son talk about things that was going on, during the enslavement of black folks. And I want to be clear that we understand we were never slaves, we were enslaved. You know what I mean? So that in itself is something that people need to understand. Like, quit teaching black kids that we were slaves. Because once you start saying that we were slaves, then from there, the misunderstanding begins. It's kind of like me leaving Atlanta right now, and someone takes me into captivity and moves me to another country. Once I go to that other country, I'm not a slave. I'm an educator who was kidnapped by terrorists and brought to a foreign land in which I cannot speak the language. So now when I actually learn the language of the captives and whatnot, someone cuts my tongue out of my mouth. So the message, piggybacking off what your son said to the mother, is that you better tell your black boy he better not do anything, because you saw what happened to his father. And when people say that, well, look, we need to quit talking about slavery or, the enslavement of black people, because that happened so long ago. But I'm reminded of a quote by my Jewish brothers and sisters that says, never forget, never again. So we need to understand and overstand that we should never forget what has happened to us. Now, we know just like with the Old Testament in the Bible, it's for our learning, but still you need to understand what happened in the Old Testament to understand what's going on in the New Testament. So we're in that New Testament of our life, or that new season of our life, and it's imperative that the young brother who's on with us tonight, as well as those who are younger than him, we start making sure they understand, not even understand, and not be fearful of stuff like critical race theory and so on and so forth, because that's another one of those divisive mechanisms that keeps our kids from questioning, using inquiry, and actually getting a chance to understand.
Wow. Yeah, definitely food for thought. Someone said listening is key.
Yeah, and that's what I kind of took from that. And that's a problem really that I have had, is because a lot of times I have so much that I want to say that sometimes I find myself not taking in and fully listening to what is being said to me. And when that happens, not only do you not hear, but you don't understand. And understanding is everything, because with understanding, there's a plan that comes behind understanding. I mean, I don't care if you're dealing with your significant other, your spouse, your children. When you listen to them, then you know how to approach them. You know how to deliver your message in the best way so it will be received, you know. So, I mean, I don't know about the rest of my colleagues, my gentlemen here, but that's something, and I just did not learn that just yesterday or the day before. That has been a struggle of mine, because, you know, have you ever been in that kind of conversation where, you know, you're talking to your significant other and you're kind of going kind of back and forth a little bit, and then you have a point that you want to make, and then all of a sudden, when you want to get that point out, then you stop listening. You know, you don't know that you're not listening, but you got a point that you want to make. So therefore, you no longer then are fully comprehending everything that's being said. So you're missing a lot. And that happens on both ends of the spectrum as it relates to communication and relationships. Absolutely. Listening is everything.
Yes.
Listening may be even more important than even talking and saying what you got to say, depending on what you're saying, you know.
You know what they say, you got 2 ears and 1 mouth, so let's do one more than the other.
Yeah, so we have another guest on tonight. He was a little late. He is a busy man.
He's on
but
mute.
a great man. Oh.
He's on mute.
Yeah, I know. I'm about to introduce him first.
Okay.
This is Pastor Dr. Andre Lloyd. He is a native of Macon, Georgia, and the pastor of Westside Community CME Church right here in Atlanta, Georgia. He is a father, a husband, and he enjoys sports. He's a coach, and he also enjoys spending time with his family. So he has been busy. He's doing this for me as a favor. So I am very grateful, because I know that he would much rather be getting rest, and that goes for all of you. So I really, really appreciate you. But his mother is a great friend of mine. He is an excellent pastor. So if you're in Atlanta, you need to check his church out. He is just a great man. So Pastor Dr. Andre Lloyd, hello. You're on mute.
Hey,
Okay.
hey, how you doing? Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can. We hear you great.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I don't have a voice.
Okay.
My voice is
Did you
gone.
all win the game? Did you win the game at least?
No, we didn't.
Oh, well, that's okay. It was still a great
Yeah.
game, right?
I mean, yeah, it was the first time in 17 years that this school that we had even made it to the state championship. So,
Oh, good.
Wow.
So,
That's
accomplishment.
pretty good.
Congratulations, brother.
Yeah.
thanks.
Yes.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had it. We just let it get away from us at the last minute.
Okay.
Oh,
Well,
Yeah.
it's always next year.
yeah.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm losing 9 seniors, but I hope so. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thanks again for joining us. And so we're saying that listening is key. Now, do you all feel like women listen to you all? Do we really listen?
I don't, in my opinion, I don't think overall, and that's not to bash anybody, so I don't want
Yeah.
you get all your text messages or whatever to start coming through.
Yeah.
But that's a conversation me and a lot of my friends have. You know, I have a lot of friends. They date a lot of people, but they're not committed. And these guys are professionals, not all dogs, you know, and nothing like that. But they're trying to find somebody that can be that soft side for them to come home to. And so a lot of times that their complaint, and I can see this, you know, women are doing the thing and everybody's mad about that. I just did a video with some guys on that. In fact, we need to see them be successful in all of that. But I often have told young ladies, especially when they have everything, "Oh, Shannon, I can't find nobody." My thing is this: I don't want to come home and lay next to me. That's just me. I don't want to come home and lay next to me. I want to come home and lay next to someone who knows how for us to play our roles and whatever it is. Somebody said, "Well, what's the roles?" I would say that you have to have certain balances in a house at any time. So when you say, do they listen? Sometimes we need to listen. Sometimes they need to say some things that we need to hear.
That's right.
But then if I do speak up and say something, I don't need you know, because right there, especially if it's a guy looking to marry you or take you out, he's already taking notes. Okay, this gonna be every day that I got to deal with this. Now I had one lady told me one day, she said, "Well, if I got to play them games, then I don't need nobody." I said, "That's why you by yourself." You know, so, and if you fine with that, then that's fine. But at least if you hunting, don't run all out there making noise. Most hunters are quiet. So even if you're trying to come out and get what you want to get from the guy, let him at least approach you. Let him at least understand where you're coming from, you know. Put it this way. I was in a store one day. I was in a Lowe's. No, I'll take this. I can use a couple of scenarios. One day I was in a store, coming out of a Quick Trip, coming out of a gas station. I couldn't see on the other side of the door. And I told my wife about this one day. Lady came in, and because I didn't see her, she snatched the door open. Young lady, 30. You could at least open the door, and had that look on her face. I looked over her shoulder, saw she had a man in the car, and I said, "Now see, this could go real bad, real quick." But my thought process was, so if you're doing that to somebody you don't know, do you do that at home? Okay, so it's all in how you say things, not necessarily what you say. One day I was in a Lowe's, same thing, standing behind a lady. I didn't say nothing to the other lady, by the way. I'm coming out, I'm standing behind a lady on the Lowe's. She's trying to get something in the bucket. I can't really tell what she's doing. I'm waiting on my turn. You can at least help me put this in the bucket. So that's that disrespect thing we talking about again, that everybody seems to think brothers are just going to take it. You understand what I'm saying? And so when you say, do they listen? I think, yeah, there are some that listen, but there are quite a few that don't. And I'll leave it at that. Now we get all your text messages at the bottom now.
Let me. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I agree with him, but I wouldn't want to say it's their fault when you talk to each other. No. And I know that. That's why I'm gearing to go somewhere with that.
Right.
But you understand theologically, and I dealt with this a lot when I was working on my second master's. It wasn't as prevalent, but it really is. The last 2 or 3 years, I took a class, Dr. Jacqueline Grant, on womanist theology,
Mm-hmm.
and basically to sum it all up, what I took from that class was women feel like and have felt like they've always been second-class citizens. And there now is a movement where women have felt that way. And now they've gained a sense of power both in every arena. I mean, let's talk. I think I heard somebody talk on here tonight who's an educator. Look at the number of male principals in school versus female principals now versus when you grew up. Look at the number of male pastors when you grew up versus female pastors. And here again, let's just be honest. How many of us heard the argument that Joe Biden, it was said very early on when the Democratic Party decided to make Joe Biden its candidate. And long before he picked a running mate, half of America said if he doesn't pick a woman, he's going to lose. So it becomes a situation where they feel as though they're owed something. And they've been on the back burner for so long. And now they've gained traction in the forefront. So in a real sense, it goes back to the documentary they just put out on sports. It's almost a situation where it says, what a young lady told LeBron, shut up and dribble. Where it's gotten to a point where certain women are like, shut up, take a back seat and just be a man. And we'll show you, we can do what you can, if not better. So that stigmatism that society has brought on has really caused that shift in a lot of people, in a lot of relationships. A lot of women act the way they act because it's like, what do I need a man for? I can do it. I got it.
Now, see, hold on. One last thing. I cannot say one thing. I'm sorry, Nard. Let me say this. I agree with everything Pastor Andre just said. See, I get kind of riled up about that. When you say, you say, shut up, take a back seat, and just be a man, that's kind of contradictory. How can I shut up, take the back seat, and be the man?
Exactly.
Okay, so you really don't want a man. You just want somebody on your arm when we go out. You can show people on Facebook what it is. You don't want a man. A real man. Really, to be honest, I hear most sisters say this too. They say, I don't want no weak man. I hear a lot of sisters say that. And that's where that thing come from. Oh, you can't handle a strong black woman and all this kind of thing. They deep down, I haven't met many women that really just want to have a man they can run over. I just hadn't met that. Right. So you got to know how to balance that thing out. That's all.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, I think that it's not that a woman doesn't listen. I think it's more so a woman don't fully understand a man. It's an intangible. It's an intangible, and we as men know exactly what I'm talking about. There are certain times, and it doesn't mean that a woman is supposed to be submissive, that a woman is supposed to walk behind a man, that a man is the one that's in charge. But I truly believe, I saw it in my parents, and they were equal partners. My dad was not over my mom or my mom over my dad. But I saw when it was time to allow a man to lead, a woman has to know when she needs to allow her man to lead. And again, I know the comments are, no, I'm not male chauvinistic at all. We are equal partners. We truly are equal partners. I do believe there's a time when I come home, or if I have to say, I need for you to trust me and follow my lead on this one. And one thing that has to be done now, which is our responsibility, we have to lead by example. Because if we don't lead by example, then a strong woman ain't gonna listen to a damn thing you say.
Yeah.
So you have to lead by example. And if you carry yourself in such a way where your actions, your actions back up your words, then you should be able to have that respect to where there are times when your significant other knows that, you know what? Okay, baby, I understand. I'm gonna let you handle this. Because just like Shannon said, a woman wants a strong man, but when he steps up and asserts himself and leads his family and wants to exhibit being a strong man, then a lot of times we have women that want to give them that resistance. So it's like, what do you want? What are, you're talking out of both sides of your neck. You got to know and understand the essence of what a man is and the essence of who he is, and don't step on his dignity.
Right. Right.
Don't step on his dignity. You can get what you want. I know how I am. You can get what you want from me, but don't step on my dignity in trying to get what you want. I'm really a big teddy bear. You can pretty much get what you want. I ain't ashamed to say it, but you got to do it in a certain kind of way, because
Right.
if you step on my dignity, then I'm going to push back on you every single time.
Right. Right. Jan, I
Okay,
saw
so-
somebody say something down in one of your comments saying women don't want to, they just feel they have to go ahead and leave.
Right.
Well,
Uh-huh.
you find that, there it is right there. They have no choice. Well, you find that out when you pick your team member, because up until the fact that to the point that you choose to allow this man to be your head, you have that choice at any point. When you start seeing them things, them little red flags, it might mean you're gonna be by yourself a little longer, but kick him to the curb. But now, if you decide that you're gonna take this guy on as your head, I use this analogy a lot. Don't get on the field and have a quarterback and you the receiver, and all of a sudden decide you want to play quarterback or play a position that we didn't call you to play. That's not the time, especially in front of an arena now, where you decide, I don't want you to play quarterback. But this is not the time for you to snatch the ball out my hand. You had that opportunity when you first looked at me and said, I believe you can lead. I believe you can lead. And that's
Right.
why I'm going to get on your team. Otherwise, don't do it. Just don't do it.
When you chose me, when you
chose me. Exactly. Somebody says what? It's difficult to know what. Read that out. It's difficult to know when. Communication is everything. We have to bear one another. Oh, no, Nars, yes, but for example, back it. Okay. I'm just reading that.
Yeah, just,
Yeah. And I think sometimes too, I think as a woman, sometimes, we hear alpha men, and men sometimes will say, well, I'm the man, you're the woman. And we want some respect too,
Exactly.
And so what I think happened is that we don't necessarily voice it in the way that we should. That's when we get the attitude, so to speak, and we can speak in a tone that can come off as disrespectful. I know I'm guilty of it. When I'm just really just trying to make my point as well, and I want to be included. I think women want to be included and not just do what I say. And I think sometimes that's what men think, that just do what I say and shut up and stay in the background or something of that sort. Similar to what Dr. Lloyd was saying, that, we say, but we need you all so much. And I think this is why I wanted to have this today. We just don't know how to not get you all, but how to keep you all, and how we can work together as one, And I'm a mother of a son who is an adult and has a child and everything, and I see the struggle from his viewpoint now that I'm somewhat on the other side. And we as women, we give you all a hard time sometimes. I have to say that, so it's just so much. So I said, what your expectations are in the beginning on both parts. Mr. Walker, the power went out, so let me put it back in. Mr. Walker?
Can you hear me?
Can you hear? Yes.
I can hear you. Well, let me just tell you, God, things you buy when you don't think you ever need them, the power just went out in the entire neighborhood. And that's Satan at work right there. Satan does not want us to have this conversation. He's saying black men right now is not understanding some of these bold things you're saying. But Jan, I want to say that when the pastor came on, he made a great point when he was
You're going in and out. We can't hear you that well. Try going back out and coming back, because you're fading out. Okay.
Hey, Jan.
I'm gonna remove you, Walker. and then come back.
Jan, you hit on some things, which is a whole nother issue, and that was when you were saying about your son and about him, and the struggles with his his child and whatnot, which I understand that firsthand. I got two grown adult kids. I've never, ever ran away from the responsibility of being a father. Got two kids. One carries my name, my daddy's name. I've always, even when I had my first child at age 18, but I happened to have two children by two ladies that I guess, in fairness to the first one, in some ways, because we were so young, that could not overcome and see what was important. And what was important after the relationship was the upbringing and the rearing of the child. And it was more important to them to try to inflict as much pain on me as they possibly could inflict. And they knew they could do that by keeping me from my child. And consequently, my children, both of them, adults now, suffered because of that. And for those out there who may be listening, who may be enduring situations in relationships or struggling in relationships or relationships that have been severed, at that point, the only thing that's important is the welfare of your child. And you can't have more hatred for that man than you have love for your child. And I have to say that, when you said that, it just kind of brought some things back up. And even as a 60-year-old man today, and that situation is far removed now, and I really kind of have a pretty good relationship with both of them now, because I know even today that's what's best. I haven't forgot, but what good would it do for me to harbor and hold on to that now? These children are grown now. They still, they had some scars because of it, but by the same token, I would only make it worse if I continued to hold on to that, But you women, you ladies, you gotta stop that. You gotta stop that. You do. You have to stop that. I know. We can be some real. We can be difficult, especially when we're young. But some kind of way, we've got to figure out a way to take care of children and be co-parents, even if we aren't in a relationship.
I agree. And it's such a difficult thing. That's why I wish every Black woman was on here to listen to this, because I see it all the time over the years, how a woman will use the child, against the father and so forth. And not everybody does. And then I've seen the other side where the man doesn't even bother to be a father. So, but I would love for us to just come together, and understand each other better. Again, this is why we're here, and understand what it is that you all go through. It's got to be hard. I see my son trying so hard to be a father, because that is what he wants to do. But then he has these obstacles, and so sometimes he just want to say, just forget about it, But then he come back because he can't. And that's because probably it's the way he was raised or whatever, I don't know. But I can see, honestly, now that I'm looking at it, now that I'm experiencing it, as the grandmother, I can see how some men can walk away because they just can't deal with it. But what I've always said in the past is they just don't care when that's not even the case. So it's a lot. Someone says, that's right, Norris, don't use the children as pawns. And that's what happened. Dr. Lyons, I'm glad to see you here on tonight. She's a great supporter and friend as well. But it's difficult, and that's why I want us to get to a point where we understand each other and how can we help you. So many Black women are successful, they're doing their thing, but we don't have a man, and we need that. And we still need you all. Although we try to act like I don't need a man to do this, I don't need a man to do that. That's not true. We need you. So anybody else have a comment? I said I wasn't going to be saying anything, but I did it.
Well, whatever you are lacking, when I say you, I'm talking about you, me, all of us. Whatever we all are lacking, we have to start off with ourselves because we're the only people that we can control. We got to start off with ourselves and try to figure out what is it that I can do about me to become a better steward, a better person, just someone that is, and it's hard sometimes. It's hard. Objectivity is difficult sometimes, to be able to see our own fault. But sometimes we got to dig deep. It doesn't mean that everything is our fault, but it's always something that we can improve upon. So, I've seen it. I've seen it quite a bit. I've seen the bitterness. I've seen the hostility. You can always talk to a woman and you can tell within a short period of time what she has been through, the pain that she has been through. Without even asking her a question, she will talk and she will tell you. I ain't looking for no one night stand. Well, I didn't ask for a one night stand. I'm not looking for a one night stand either. If I get a one night stand from you, that means you got one from me. And at this stage in life, it's about a little bit more than that. There was one time in my life now, I measured the success of my evening on what I was able to accomplish when I was out and when I got home. If I scored a touchdown, it was a good night. Yeah. If I didn't, it still might have been a good night, but that was the goal. Those days are so far removed. So women have to understand, at least talking to me, you don't have to come at me like that, because I know that if everything else comes and falls into place, that will come. And when that comes, it'll be more meaningful. It means absolutely nothing to get with you on the first night and something happens. That's all superficial. It's there for the moment. It's all good while it's happening, and when it's over, then what? Okay? So women need to understand when they're meeting a man, don't automatically assume because the last I don't care if it was the last 20. It doesn't matter. The last 100. Because there's going to be somebody you're going to come across that's going to be different than the ones that you had before. As a matter of fact, they're all different. So don't put them all in the same deplorable basket, because we don't deserve that. We don't. Yeah. But put me in that basket when I do something I deserve to be put in it. Now, when I mess up, throw me in the basket, okay? Yeah. And I'll accept it.
By the time you reach this point in life, a mature man, educated or whatever, by the time you mature, I've heard many men, friends of mine even, they say the same thing. If that's all you got to offer me, we got to roll on to something else, because that you did as a boy. So if that's all we talking about, then we really not talking about much. Grown men don't. Now we notice it. Don't get me wrong. You see it, but that is not the goal and the aim. An older man told me once, you can get that when you can't get something to eat, and it's the truth.
Right.
Okay.
Very true. Mr. Walker, are you there? His power keep going out.
Might need to try a cell phone.
I'm trying to use the Wi.
Try to use the cell phone.
You can't hear me.
Try your cell phone.
I'm
Since you have
on the
you
cell
have
phone.
power. Are you on the cell phone now?
Oh, that is the cell phone. Okay.
Yeah, I'm on the cell phone, but the Wi-Fi is connected to the cell phone. So if the power is out, that means all the Wi-Fi is out.
What
Yeah.
about what about on your network, on your
Right,
5G,
right.
your 5G network on
Your hotspot.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm using a hotspot from this other phone. That's what I'm pulling from right now. So can you guys hear me okay right now?
Hear you
Yeah,
right
we
now.
Yeah, we hear you good. Uh-huh.
Okay,
You and Dr.
so,
Lloyd must be in the same place because Dr. Lloyd power just went out.
Yes, I made a comment on all of these black men having this real positive, constructive
Does he
You know
have
what?
to use a hotspot? Does
Yeah,
he?
yeah. Maybe he needs to, if the Wi-Fi is not on, cut it off
Right.
and just go straight with the hotspot.
Straight with the
Yeah.
cell phone, like you ain't in your car outside somewhere.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
but cut,
Turn
but
the
go to the
Wi-Fi
setting, cut the Wi-Fi off.
Oh,
It-
right.
Go to settings and turn Wi-Fi off, Mr. Walker, because you're going in and out, and try that. That should be better. Yeah. All right. So in the meantime, any other comments? Harvey, you're quiet over there.
Hey, I'm just listening. I mean,
Hey,
I'm one of these
Hey.
people that feel that, we need to, sometimes I can get a little bit harsh in my talking because I care so much about my people. I have to kind of sit back and listen, right? Because I'm more of a person where it's like, you need to understand yourself. Figure out what you want, what makes you happy, what doesn't make you happy. And then you can lead out in life and get that. I believe everybody deserves happiness. I think one of the issues is, and I like to talk about what's facing us as well, right? We can all sit and say a lot of different things, but there are a lot of things that are facing us. It doesn't have our best interest at hand. And this is why I tell people, even from a mentoring standpoint, is you have to understand yourself first. You can go buy millions of books, and I know they cater a lot of these books to women. Key to understanding the book. She can want to understand a man, all she wants to, but if she doesn't understand herself, it's never going to work. And I just think that we don't get enough of people, from a meditation standpoint, of saying, I need to figure out what makes me happy. And whatever that is, then you go after that. If you want a family, let's just say, right? That's going to make you happy, being a mother, having a family. Then you go after those things. But I think that if you're trying to live life based on how society is telling you to live it, is it really you? Or is it someone else, societal views, that's making you do what you do? This is a huge problem that I had, even with my people, is I don't think that we think enough. We're doers, but we're not thinkers. And we got to start thinking, because thinking is going to yield a lot of different results. And it'll allow us to resist things and positions that people are putting us in. This is one of the reasons why I talk about the media a lot. And I don't want to get too deep with all of that, but we really got to watch who we're listening to and who wants the best for us. And that's why I think that if you can understand it yourself, you have less reliance on other people, because it'll come with that, that situation, because people tend to respect people who can think, for themselves. They tend to disrespect people that do what other people tell them to do, or TV shows, which I could go from, a long time ago, these different media presentations. Everybody's concerned with someone else because in the end, they can put the blame on someone else and not themselves. And I feel that we really need to start looking in the mirror and understanding how to be happy again, because that action is going to come on your part, not somebody else's part.
Yeah.
awesome.
And I also feel like, just speaking on like what he kind of said, like, as men, we have to look at a whole bunch of things. We got to look at the world. how wicked the world is. Then we gotta look at how people, what are our people going through? Then we gotta look at us, and then we gotta look at the women. Because it starts with us, and it starts off with everything that's going on around us, you know? And that's where the black man is supposed to come in handy, because when the world is acting crazy, the black man is supposed to bring everything together. And it's crazy because if we can't get the women, you know what I'm saying, because the women are in the world, then what's that's going to counterbalance on us. You know what I'm saying? And it's going to keep going. Like Harvey said, it's a lot to do with learning and thinking and realizing that a lot of things that we want because we not happy, and society gave us these things to think that will make us happy. When honestly, if you honestly got those things, you probably wouldn't even know what to do with it. It's just all what we go back to and what we know and what we need to go back to. We need to go back to tradition, because we losing our tradition because we got the world now. Nobody wants to be family when we can FaceTime each other. You know what I'm saying? Those things that meant something at once upon a time, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't have meaning now. And that's because we forgot. We gotta look at the world first, then look at our people, then look at us, and then look at the women, because all of these things have a counterbalance for it. So if we missing things in the household, it's because we're getting some things outside of the household. So if we eliminate what's outside of the household, maybe we'll get something. I mean, outside of the outside world, maybe we'll get something back in the household. You know what I'm saying? Which is love, true love, family, tradition. You know, and because to be honest with you, we're all talking about traditional things that we once upon a time as a people did. You know, and women. It's once upon a time women did respect men. Men were in charge, and we did the things we provided. But now you have non-providers. That's men. Now you have women, and it's all affecting kind of shaky. So that's just my point of view.
Yeah, well, women can take care of themselves now too, and that plays a big part. Back in the day, women stayed at home. You know.
You know, it's funny you say that. I disagree just a little bit. I don't think women can actually take care of themselves. I think they can, but in the grand scheme of things, from a protection standpoint, from a lot of different theories, I think that's the part they don't get. You know, and I'm not getting down on them or anything like that. Is we really, really need to coexist to be at our strongest. And for her to, you know, to say she can lead and she doesn't need a man, it's not going to make us a better people down the line. And I think it's causing, you know, a lot of problems. Because I'll tell you what, and I told people this story before, a woman can be in a house by herself with, and this is an adult show here, so let me just say that. And you're going to have, you know, she can be in a house, you know, with her daughter or whatever. And I'm just throwing out, and her daughter's 16 years old. You're going to have boys that are going to take a shot at her. You know, I'm going to climb through the window. I'm just saying, I'm going to knock on the back door, whatever these deals are, right? Because as men, we already know how far a woman can go with being able to protect and lead herself. Now, let a man be in that house. And we all know this because his father's on his phone. I guarantee you, he's going to think twice before trying to open that window, because he might end up losing his life. You know, see, there's woman, you know, a woman is a nurturer, right? You know, and we got to think, everybody keeps thinking leading means I've got 3 degrees and I make $100,000 a year. That's not leadership to a real man, because we have a job that we have to do as well. And I think now so much, you know, we're getting pushed to the side because it's like, well, I can do it myself. I think one of the things that I think that we could get some help from women on is, if you say you're a leader, prove it to me that you. And I'll help you. If you lose your job today, I'm going to get up and cook you breakfast in the morning, but you're going to get out of here and get another one. Because that's what's going to make us a successful family, is how you secure and take care of this family. And I think we're losing because they're trying to play a lot of that role. And then they say, well, we have no choice. But I think that if we're in the front of the line and we don't get anything from them, unless we prove that leadership to them, I think that things will change. And when we start talking about solution stuff, that's the kind of stuff I want to talk a lot more about, because I think it can happen.
That's
A man that can't lead doesn't deserve to have kids by you. He doesn't deserve your hand in marriage. And women have to start looking at these decisions and making these decisions. Don't have 3 or 4 kids first and then say, oh, now I want a leader. you guys should do this in the beginning. Because see, the non-leading men, they feel like they're winning this game. And everybody's pushing black leadership aside. You know, you got to get that back. And we do need our women's support. To say, I'm going to support you being a leader, but you got to be one. Don't, you know, because that's just a role when she shouldn't even, you know, try to play it. And she doesn't, you know, she shouldn't have to. Let me just say that.
Absolutely. Any other comments?
Jan, can I take one more stab at it?
Sure.
Seek first to understand and then to be understood. I love what that brother did. I think we have a misunderstanding about cash value and use value. Just because you have 3 degrees or 2 doctorate degrees and so on and so forth, I love what my brother was saying. That is not the same as use value. A brother doesn't have to have degrees in order to be useful to his kids, to be useful to his community, to be useful to his family, to be useful to, you know, just like people as a whole. So I think that's what's being lost. And when we talked earlier about leadership in schools and so on and so forth, you see so many more problems going in our schools as well as in our household because there's not a man. My big daddy didn't talk a whole lot at my grandmother's house, my big mama's house. But everybody knew that when Big Daddy came home from work and sat on that couch, you kept the noise down. You did not go in there and touch that television. You did not do anything. And this is where the real issue comes in. Big Mama knew her role, but Big Mama also understood that beside every good black man is a good woman. So when we say leadership, we don't mean that the black woman is behind the black man. We're saying they work together cohesively and collaboratively, where my was the one who made sure all the monies went where it needs to go. But my big daddy worked 3 jobs for over 33 years at the same time, and we never had food stamps at my big mama's house. They had their garden in the backyard. I mean, up to 40 kids could be at my big mama's house at one time because my big daddy, as the leader, made sure that he provided and he protected that family. So I think we got to make sure that we seek first to understand and not to be understood, and understand that just because a woman makes more money or has more degrees, that doesn't mean she's more useful to the whole development of those children and the household. So because you guys were able to hear me, I cut it right there. But that's kind of like my piece I want to share. And lastly, though, Jan, I did think about something just then. I heard, I think it was Kevin Samuels. I'm not like saying that I'm his follower or anything, but it's on TikTok. He talked about how great grandma told grandma about, you know, marriage, being in a successful relationship. But now this generation of mothers is teaching their children INDEPENDENT, what to know about me and all that stuff like that. So it's kind of like you can be independent. You don't need a man to help take care of you. And until we bring that thing back together, whether it be marriage or just being in sound relationships where we're co-parents together, I think we're going to continue to lose.
Yeah, it starts with the people, man. It starts with the men protecting the family from the world. You know what I'm saying? That's what it starts at. I mean, it's certain stuff you can do around it's certain stuff I can do around my grandma that I couldn't do around my granddad. You know what I'm saying? It's certain stuff I could do around my granddad I couldn't do around my grandma, because certain men have this thing where when men lead, it just brings so much love to the household, and it teaches things. We have a good leader, a good black man as a leader. And what I'm saying, we losing that. We're losing that. As a people, we are losing that. And that's the saddest part. And I feel like it's society, I feel like it's the internet, the ways of the world, and it's just like my generation, we don't care no more. Honestly, we don't care.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's powerful.
There are men out here that'll say, since you can do it on your own and you don't need me, then you open the door. See, there's psychological effects to this thing, right? You know, and even, you know, you want to listen to some of these people who kind of understand a lot of this, and where a lot of this stuff started to go awry at. When you look at history, it started in the late 50s and 60s. See, a lot of people saw that we were getting along, you know, as, you know, families, and we were dressing up and we were doing these things. A lot of people out here understand that we got to stop this because we don't need them to get along, right? And they were successful in and breaking that up. We have to get that back. So when we start saying, and like we talk about this I word that everybody's talking about, you defeat the purpose of us actually being together as a people or as a family, and making things work. I don't hear that word as much as I used to, and I'm really, really happy that it's kind of gone to the wayside. And maybe and like you're doing stuff like this, maybe the time is now for us to kind of say, I want to get together and let's make this, like I said, this thing work. Support us in being leaders again. You know what I'm saying? And don't say I'm going to do it. If I had one quick point here, if I used this theory with a friend of mine before. Let's say you had a football team. You got the cheerleaders and you got the football players, right? Mm-hmm. If I twist my ankle in the game on the field, I want that woman to say, you get back out there and score this touchdown. I don't want her to say, I can do it. I want her to say, no, you show me that you can do it because I have your back. And if you're okay, I'm okay, my family's okay. I think we got a lot of women saying, I'll get on the field. And see, the team on the other side is saying, oh, really? Okay, let's see what happens to them. We'll give them the chance. But they know what the end result is going to be. We got to get we got to get that support back again for us to be leaders. Right. And I think we can make it happen. Because a sprained ankle, and guys, we all know, you know what I'm saying? You're getting back on that field. I'm not going out there. That woman is like, I'm too cute to be trying to go out there to be a leader on the field so we can win the game. No, you get back out there. Because I got something for you when this game is over if you win, right? You know what I'm talking about, Jan. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I got something for us if we leave. Like I would say that's one thing I think that ladies can kind of help us with. Don't give it to the guy that says I can't go back in the game.
As an educator, and I know Mr. Walker and I know Jan, I know you all see this type of thing all the time. It is absolutely, it's really sad. It's really sad to state that our black kids are and in particular our boys. And it's all because of all of these different things that we've been talking about. Women saying that I don't need a man, even though you got a son.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you got a son, you don't even you so pissed at him. I don't even want you to even fool with him. Now we know there are some men that there are some men out there that are better off. And then again, I don't know. I'm not going to say that. Even men that, and I ain't talking about if you ain't productive in terms of an income and all of that. You can still provide even if you ain't got an income when it comes to your child. Because, that's not the only reason why women keep men away from their children. But all of these different things that we're talking about are the very reason why our culture and our generation has gotten to where it is. Where you're talking about Big Mama and I used to go over. We didn't call her Big Mama; she was Grandmama. But we used to go over there on Sundays. My cousin. That's sometimes the only time I got the chance to see my first cousins in the week was on Sunday after church. We go over to my grandmama's house and eat. And then as she got older, then it was over to my mama's house and all. But that's when families got together. And see, we don't do those kinds. Yeah, we don't do those kinds of things no more. This culture here, those very kids, those very 7th graders that I teach now. I mean, I'm not saying that it don't happen in some segments, but they don't see that now. So they don't grow up with those principles, with that being a part of their DNA. So when they have children, it's not going to be a part of their family.
Yeah, it go back to what Harvey said. Like, who made us forget what was right? Who made us forget what was important, which is the black man. It seemed like everybody made it. You got to think about it, down to the young men, to the women. Don't nobody want to respect the black man. Don't no young guys want to listen to their OGs, and don't no women want to listen to a man. And it's the I word that y'all talking about. It's just we got to look at it and say who did this and how do we reverse it?
Yeah.
How do we make being the bad cool again?
Yeah.
Dan,
And
would say-
I also
go ahead,
see
go ahead,
Renee's
Art.
question. I'm just going to make it real quick. I see Renee's question, and I think this is the second time she's asked this, and it's a very important question. I'm an engineer by trade, right? And like I said, an investor as well. I think the solution is to understand the problem first. This is a two-part thing. I don't think that people understand the problem, when it happened and why it happened, right? And when we get in these boardrooms where we got this engineering diagram up here, we go and we sit and we say, because something's already in play, but then something happened, right? So we got to understand what's the problem. Once we understand what's the problem, then we can start to provide solutions. I don't think we understand the problem because we're just living and not thinking. We're just doing. And it's hard to understand what a problem is if you're just doing, And case in point, who's going to sit and say, wait a minute, why do I feel I'm independent? What is that doing for me? Right? I need to understand what the problem is that's putting me in this position that I'm in. Once that's done, I think that then we can start to actually provide solutions to that. I think that's a big part that we're missing, is we have to start thinking first and understand what's going on, because we used to be in love with each other at one point, heavily in love with each other, and nobody could break that up.
Yeah.
Something was successful in breaking that up.
Yep.
We need to understand why, so we can get back to the love that we have for each other, the respect that we have for each other. I've opened tons of doors for women. And a lot of women, and I will say it, I'm sorry to pull it, a lot of black women are like, I don't have to tell him things. I had one time with 3 women, and it's so funny how they walked in through. There was a white lady in the front, the black lady in the middle, and then there was a white lady behind her. I'm going to hold the door, right? I can get 50 women not tell me thank you. I'm still going to continue to do what it is. I just hope that one day, the next 10 that I open it for, those 10 are going to tell me that. Because they need to think, did he really need to do that for me? Or I can be polite to him. I don't have to say he was supposed to do that. I don't have to say I didn't ask him to do that. Why is it that way? Did you think to say that, let me just respect him, by telling him thanks for doing that or being polite to him? See, we've lost that. Nobody's thinking. But once you start, and I'm just saying this last part, once you start thinking, you have to accept responsibility. And we need people to accept responsibility again. Because if you accept responsibility, you have the duty to make it better. Yeah. The finger pointing at everybody else says that I don't have to change anything. Right? But a lot of times it's the person that's doing this. And we got to understand this problem, and I think the solution will come. So I just wanted to say that last part. I'm done. I'm back and listening.
No, if I can just say one thing, too. We look at one thing. We need to start back teaching in the home. So if you don't teach a young man, a little boy, or a little girl, certain things of, talking about the way things were. We ain't talking about not getting a good job, not talking about you can't have 6-figure jobs. That's not what we're talking about. But just teaching in the home, teaching, like you just said, opening doors and different things that you can do. Because I counsel a lot of young men that just don't get to see that because they are raised in single parent homes. And so it's been watered down over each generation, the things that boys can do or girls can do to make this situation a lot better. So we're talking about kind of 2 different things to me in terms of how did we get to this point, who told us this, what made men be this way. The first thing is the teaching has to start. Even if it's somebody that doesn't have a dad, maybe you can reach over and assist that young lady or that lady with her son or whatever. The last thing I'd say too is, if we're talking about now to the women, I would say this: take it or leave it. Don't try to compete with your man. Don't try to compete with him in terms of, I can do this better than you, or I'm better than you at this or that. Bring your part to the table. He brings his part to the table. Don't make him feel like he has to compete with you, because he's competing with the world all day long. And if he has to compete in his own home or just dating you, it starts to get kind of tiring for a lot of people. That's all I got to say.
I was on mute, sorry. Absolutely. I think I hear that a lot. is that the man feel like the woman is trying to compete, you know. And I think the way society is now, sometimes we worry about what if, you know, I support this man with his dream, you know, and he go to college because we can't afford for both of us to go. He goes to college, he get the good job, I'm staying at home, and then he leave me. What am I supposed to do? So I think we both need to go to college, or let me go first. Um,
So you can leave him.
just to make sure that I'm okay. But you know, we're laughing about it, but that's the fear, you know.
Yeah.
That we
Life
have.
is,
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, go ahead. No, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. No, you're fine.
No, but I was just gonna say life is a risk. You know, everything you do is a risk. I mean, you can't live your life in fear. You know, when you take on your mate, there's no guarantees that that's going to work out. When y'all invest in one another, there's no guarantees that's going to work out. But you have to live it, and you know, you have to pray on it, and you have to just be hopeful that and do your part to make sure that it comes out to be successful.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And as Shannon mentioned, we have to teach them. One of the things that I love, Mr. Walker, he's an educator, and he really worked with the students. And what he does is he talked to them on their level, you know, and they respect him. I mean, it's just unbelievable. He can leave his room for an hour. I'm not saying he does, but he would. And his class would do exactly what they are supposed to do, you know, and they follow him, they respect him. He built relationships with his students. They come to him, and there's another one, Mr. Dukes. He has the Dukes Foundation where he mentored Black young men. And it's just unbelievable to see them because they have someone working with them, a male, you know, someone that looked like them, teaching them. So you're absolutely right. I know I was talking to a friend of mine once, and he was saying that, you know, the government really started destroying the Black family when, you know, they would give you welfare and things of that sort, give you apartment living, but they would say that, you know, you can't have a man there, you know. If you do that, you'll lose your benefits, right? So those are some things to consider as well. Mr. Walker, did you want to say something? You want to try it again?
I'm just thankful because I know this internet is awful. I know the power is out, but I'm thankful that I was able to meet these brothers tonight. When the sister asked about the solution, I love what Brother Shannon said. We're not here to beat up on anybody tonight, but the solution is, first of all, in the words of Aristotle, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a see, we used to be in the habit of making sure that we supported that man as being the head of the household. That is the structure that is supposed to be in place. I don't care who disagrees with it. That is the structure. So when we get back in the habit of letting that man lead the household, and then that man getting in the habit of making sure that you're not a man, you're not leading that household and taking care of that woman and taking care of those children. It's almost like, Jan, you was mentioning government. We should almost use an inverted pyramid. And I'll use an educational system, for example, when you think about this. You have the Board of Education at the top. Oh no, you have superintendent at the top, the board, the principals, the APs, the counselors, the teachers, and the students. But we claim that the students are why we do what we do. But imagine if we flip that pyramid upside down and you had the children at the top, then the teachers, then the counselors, then the APs, the principal. I'm going with this right here. The household will be the same way. If we are here for the children, even if we cannot stay married or whatnot, if we divorce, we still know our primary obligation are the children. So one, I think it was an East African tribe back in the days, in ancient times. They said if you wanted to know how healthy the village was, the question you would ask warriors. I don't mean you would ask this to a woman or just a regular man. You would ask the warriors. You would ask the warriors, how are the children? And if the children are well, that means the village is well. And we have to go back to the point where even if we're not together, those children are going to be healthy and turn into healthy adults who are going to understand you are a warrior in that household. So when that brother mentioned earlier, I think it was Shannon again, when he talked about somebody coming into that household, let me say to all of the women who can hear my voice in case I go out, I had a young man to come, just a friend, to visit my daughter once. And he came up on my porch and his pants was slacking or sagging. And I said, brother, I'm going to walk in my house and come back and try this again. When I come back, man, you know, I am licensed to carry in the state of Georgia. I came back and I did have my pistol on my hip. And I said, brother, I don't want my old lady. I don't want my daughter. I don't want any of them seeing no other man's drawers besides mine. So if you're going to come up here to visit my daughter, I need to make sure you come in correct. And I came back out there. That young man had his pants pulled up. He referred to me as Mr. Walker. And the next time I saw him walking through that neighborhood or whatnot, he waved his hand and I walked out and we were able to engage in some conversation. So when you start talking about Jan meeting them where they are, I think that's the thing that we need to understand. We're not saying that we're superior. We're not saying that the women should be subservient to us. But the primary thing I am saying, the model is broken. We had a model that worked going all the way back to ancient times, and now because of technology, social media, and especially these salaries that oftentimes women get now, and this has nothing to do with you not making money. I think we have, what I said earlier, cash value over youth value. All of us have usefulness in the relationship, but I don't care if a woman makes $500,000 a year and I make $50,000 a year. I am still the head of that household.
That's right.
Whenever it's time to buy a car, she might have done all the numbers. She knows she wants leather seats in the car. She knows that she wants alloy wheels. But when we go to that place to purchase that car, I'm going to be the one communicating with that man on the other side of this. So, Jan, I think that the main aim, once again, is just to remember we are what we repeatedly do. Big Mama them, we're not saying they didn't have problems back in the days, but they maintained their families for 50 plus years throughout the problem. They understood those vows when it said for a better upper world. So until we go back to understanding our roles, because it's a great piece of propaganda being used right now when we celebrate Black women and all that they do. And when we say celebrate, I heard you talking about your son. I have a brother who was incarcerated once upon a time for child support, and my niece and her siblings were staying with us. You know, so imagine that right there. He's incarcerated, and the children are at my mama's house staying with us. You get what I'm saying, Jan? So there's so many programs and whatnot that are put in place. I heard y'all talking about college, but let's take it down to the level where most of the people I grew up with can understand. How can a Black man who loves his child be incarcerated for child support when the child is living with him? That right there is a main thing we need to focus on for your son and other young brothers, because it's happened to so many of my friends, and I have 5, and I'll conclude by saying this right here. See, when Big Mama and Daddy understand that those children are our primary aim and our primary focus, then we're not trying to put you on no paper. We're not saying we're not talking about those no good at men who are not taking care of their children. But I think one of the brothers said it earlier. What if that man loses his job? And now all of a sudden, because the courts are saying that he's not sending money in, he should go to jail, where we definitely know he can't get a job? How illogical is that metric that they're using? So we need to go back to that model where we know, like, look, check this out. If times get hard, Florida Evans stayed with James, man. Times got hard a lot of times around that thing. And James Evans had to go out with that pool stick. He had to go and do whatever he had to do, but James understood that was his role to make sure Thelma, Michael, and Junior were taken care of. And I think Jan, that is like the perfect way for us to look at it. Making sure we understand our role. Don't let the powers that be put our woman up here and celebrate them and not have them looking at us in a condescending manner, but let us look at each other as those comedic images we saw throughout our teaching, where that woman was sitting right beside that man. We understood what our roles were. We should still understand what our roles are. And if we want to continue to move in a direction where we're going to uplift our community, we must go back and know that if we're going to be successful, we have to understand our roles again. And when we say we're head of the household, that doesn't mean we run the household. That just means there has to be some structure, some order in order for us to be successful.
Yeah. That's right.
Wow, you said a mouthful. Yes, you summed it up. Anybody else have any comments?
I think the brother said it all.
He did.
Yeah.
He said no. I see why you were not able to get on. You're right. Satan did not want you to get on. Norris, you don't have anything to say? Norris? Norris, are you able to hear me? I don't think Norris can hear. He looked frozen, right?
He's frozen.
Yeah, he is. Because I know he has something to say. But we're going to wrap it up. This is just the first night, but we're going to continue to have conversations like these here. So spread the word, everyone. Let's see, Norris is back. Hold on. Norris, can you hear us now?
Mhm.
Okay. I was asking if you had anything to say.
Oh, are we're concluding?
Yes. But if you have a comment, go right ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, nothing more than I've thoroughly enjoyed hanging out with you and these awesome, distinguished brothers who have so much to contribute in terms of their life experiences. It's been a awesome experience for me, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I thank you for giving me the opportunity to hang out with these guys and really talk about some issues. I really, even though I have experience in life, I've learned a lot, even just listening to them, and that has been a blessing. So thank you so much. And let me also say, which is on another note, prayers for Ukraine.
Amen.
Yes.
Prayers for Ukraine. Man, those people, they're showing Americans what it means to be patriots. We argue over masks and we embrace totalitarianism for power. They are giving up their lives for freedom. God bless them.
Yes, absolutely. Shannon, was there anything you wanted to say?
No, I'm good. I appreciate everything that you've allowed us to bring here today. It's a discussion that has to go on if we're to bring our community back.
Yeah. Harvey, is there anything you would like to say? If so, you are mute. Okay. Well, Shannon, can you tell us how to get in touch with you?
You can get in touch with me by emailing you're so witty at you're so witty at gmail.com. You're so witty at gmail.com. And also we have a YouTube channel that is You're So Witty. You just put that in and you'll see discussions like we're doing now.
Okay. So you're so witty at gmail.com and also on YouTube as well?
Yes, You're So Witty. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. You want to tell us a little bit what You're So Witty about?
It's all about you being so witty. We bring all the discussions to the table and we let the person to, in fact, talking about this, I have a high-powered woman coming on tomorrow, and I was going to bring it up, but it would have been, taking too much time. But with her, she is a high-powered woman, 6-figure, over Home Depot stores and all that. But yet she still has a husband that she goes and she submits herself to the way she should. Not under him, but they just work together. And I just think it's beautiful because they keep the balance, from what I can see anyway, the way she talks.
Gotcha. Awesome. So we're going to have to tune into that. Norris, how can we get in touch with you?
Well, you can get in touch with me at my Facebook page, Norris Henry. You can get in contact with me at DJ Blue, DJ Blue 1115 at gmail.com. Twitter, Norris Henry at Twitter. Instagram, Stranger 1961, and on TikTok.
So Instagram is, what is it, Stranger?
1961.
Okay.
Yeah, my apologies there. I'm actually, I had to come out and get something to eat. I was at home earlier, so I was on mute earlier here, just trying to pick something up here. But I wanted to say that I really, really, really enjoyed the conversation. And I mean, those who want to add me, I'm Harvey J. Adams on Facebook. And hopefully we can have more of these, because I think solutions are going to come out of these types of conversations here. So again, thank you very much for that.
Right.
Okay.
Yep. Hey, Jan, can you kind of connect us together and whatnot? So,
Yeah.
We'll have each other's names and whatnot. We can connect with each other and everything.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I also want to say, I'm going to probably in about 30 minutes, I'm going to go on live in about 30 minutes on my Facebook page, DJ Blue. So your audience, if you want to tune in and just kind of check me out in another kind of mode in another arena, don't hesitate to do so.
Yes, it's really, really good. I mean, it is awesome. You got to check it out. At least tune in for 5 minutes, and I promise you, you will be on longer than that. Okay.
Sounds good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, Harvey, you said this on your page. It's Harvey J. Adams on your page, right?
That's correct.
On your Facebook page.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, Harvey J. Adams. That's on Facebook if you want to check him out. And Kip, how do they get in touch with you? Your email?
JONDAN09@gmail.com. And I have a YouTube page. It's ATL Kip 3. And that's it.
Okay.
Good. How are you?
Well, so much. My name is Jan Dickerson. I am the host. You can reach me on Facebook, Jan Dickerson, Boaz Meets Ruth, Boaz Meets Ruth Dating, Instagram, Boaz Meets Ruth Dating. You can also email me at boazmeetsruthdating@gmail.com. And I promise you, we're going to do this again. We'll have some more guests. We get to meet some new people. But again, I just want to say thank you all for tuning in. And Norris, can you pray us out? We can't hear you. Okay, you're on mute.
Okay. Heavenly Father, we come to you with our heads bowed and our hearts humble. Thank you so much for this fellowship. Thank you so much for bringing us together and sharing all of our interests, all of our concerns, all of our wisdom, all of our experience we've had in this life. We want to thank Jan, our host, for bringing us together. Thank all these distinguished gentlemen for their input. We want to thank you, dear God, for all that you do for us and all that you bestowed upon us, all the good, all the not so good. We want to thank you for all of these things and say in your name, dear God. Amen.
Amen. I also wanted to say, check out Lieutenant Walker. He had to leave, but he is Awaken the Genius. He also has a podcast with Lieutenant Walk. So be sure to check him out, and also on Facebook as well. N.E. Walker, WALKER. Thank you all. I hope that you all have a great night and enjoy the rest of your weekend. And we will see you next time.
God bless.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Nice meeting you guys.